So this is what I did. So I uploaded so I activated the the CI coach, and I said, help me understand the findings, reasoning, and conclusions in this article. So it went through the slow thinking, and it says, please state in your own words what you understand to be the main findings of the article. That article title, What Has a Foundation Model Found? Inductive Bias Reveals World Models. So, okay, after struggling, and literally I was struggling, uh, I said, okay, the authors found that foundation models trained on data generated from a world model are not able to extrapolate functions consistent with that world model when inputted new data from the same world model. In other words, the LLMs were not able to generalize. So it's like saying, I learned Kepler's model, but if you give me a new planet, I couldn't predict the orbit of the new planet anymore. I could just predict the planet that the first one. Unlike if you know Newton's model, any planet, I can predict where it will go. So that was the difference, right? Then it says, oh, that's a good start. You've identified a key finding. Pero medyo nabitin siya. Now, to elaborate on that idea, can you explain in other words what this finding means? What are the implications of further details that come to mind when you think about this inability of foundation models to extrapolate consistently? So again, I struggled here again. Okay, let me see. Wait a minute. Parang hindi niya sinave. I thought I had saved it just before our call, but let me see. But there was an earlier conversation when I talked about the same article. I could be hitting a memory limit. Ano? Uh, this is the one I was telling you that he slipped. He gave me answers instead of asking me questions. Okay. Anyway, since I cannot see it anymore, I'll do it live. It's asking me to elaborate. No? So I would say something like, to elaborate. So in other words, the foundation model, which was trained on data generated from the world model, uh, when fed new data, okay, I'll give an example because this is exemplification. I even answered this with an example earlier, which was trained on data. When fed new data, uh, develops new functions. So imagine Kepler, no, making new functions that are not in the allowable functions from the world model. So I think because I remember your Kepler sharing, when you look at the article, this is how it's shown. So this is the Newton model. Let's call this the world model. But when they trained the LLM, it came up with this model, which is a very sophisticated model, which is actually bullshit, but it can predict. So the problem though is when it predicts and you now apply it to a new planet, the predictions are like this. So you can see the way the vectors are all lopsided, right? Whereas if you use the Newtonian model, the vectors are all pointed at the sun.
You know, I've seen this in in coding. Now, if you
Yes.
you
Do share.
prompt, yeah, they call it vibe coding na ngayon, which
Yeah.
many developers are still not sold onto for the same reason. Parang
Mm,
you
mm.
ask ano ba mga whatever an AI to code up a website probably will succeed. But if you are more specific about functionality, parang somehow it will brute force its way through it. But then
Yeah.
cut the hood, yun na nga, wow, it's a bloated piece of code. And ako, well, anyway, we can have a more broader Q&A about it. I feel it's the natural limitation of how transformers work. Eh.
Indeed.
In a way, we have
Yeah.
to work around the limitations or
Yeah.
acknowledge the limitations first. No, there's no
Yeah.
real reasoning talaga nangyayari. It's It's basically a sequence of tokens, and yan nangyari tuloy. Your formula is a series of tokens, uh,
Yes.
but not really true reasoning. I think that should really be emphasized. At least
Yes.
the way I interpret it. Siguro from
Yeah.
a practical standpoint, on the surface, it appears like it reasoned. Pero if you open the hood, yun na nga, kasi ito may formula, or in the case of code,
Yeah.
talagang
Yeah.
it's the way I describe it, it's like cardboard and duct tape sa likod. Pero
Exactly.
it's very
Indeed, it reasoned,
veneer.
but the reasoning was fallacious, di ba? But it reasoned in a way that a pattern detector would reason. Kasi pattern nga eh. Like, sometimes I ask my friends, oh, asan si ganon? Ah, kasama si ganon, nag-lunch sila. Tapos sabi, oh, parati silang nagla-lunch ano? Sila ba? Oh, mukhang sila eh. See, so pattern detection.
It's more than just pattern. Certainly it's pattern, but it's patterns optimized to a certain outcome. And the outcome is to make in that anecdote, a generalization about why people spend time together.
Exactly. Oh, yun
Then
yung model.
parang the model will reason it backwards now. Kaya yun.
Yes.
Yeah, that's got wider implications, even beyond
Indeed,
discussion.
indeed. So I think we will have a very rich discussion. So in other words, it will come up with a model, but what the article showed was that the models it will come up with are nowhere near the original world model.